Hi there, my name's Tony Harmer. I am the Chief Enchantments Officer at Wizardry Limited, and I'm also a LinkedIn Learning author. You can follow my exploits and my courses there, and also on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/thedesignninja. Okay, and what we're going to look at in this session is how to get started with video editing. I'm going to be using Adobe Premiere during this session, but the very basics of this will translate pretty much to any video editing software. Just latch on to the key concepts here, and I'm not going to be giving any super duper shortcuts, and we'll keep this nice and simple. Starting then here in Premiere, the first thing we need to do is to create a project. And essentially you could think of this as the main container for your particular work or indeed project, which to some degree is true as it does actually create a folder. So let's go ahead here and click New Project from the welcome screen. And the first thing we'll need to do is give this a name. Well, I'm just going to call this one my demo project here, like so. And we'll also need to determine a couple of other things. Time code is normally what you would use with video. Audio and audio samples are just fine. And in just about every case, HDV is exactly what we're going to use. We'll also need to choose a location for it. So what I'll do, and if I just move to the side here so you can see the folder as well as what I'm doing, I'm going to click Browse and then browse to this folder. So I'll go to my desktop here, into this folder, which happens to be the same one here. And I'll choose that. When I hit OK, that's it. The project is started. Now I'll just go back out to my Finder here. And when we go ahead and save shortly, you'll notice that the project gets added into this folder. There are various different workspaces, and beyond this very short session, you might want to check out this first one, the learning space, if you're using Premiere, because it will help you get used to using the product. There's a few different simple, nice, quick tutorials in there. In the main though, you'll normally start off with the assembly workspace where you bring in all of your different assets. So you'll see here, import media to start. And essentially that is video clips, although sometimes referred to as footage back from the days of film, and there's quite a lot of terminology from those days that you'll find in Premiere. Okay, but I'll use the terms footage and clips interchangeably as I go through. You'll also notice another file in the files that I'm going to import as well, an audio file. So I'll double click in here to start. There's the demo project just there. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and select some of these clips. I'm just holding down the Command key on my Mac. That would be Control on Windows to do that. So just grab all of these different clips. I probably don't need all of them, but I'll bring them in anyway. And then I'll import those. So let's do that. And the files come in. Now, just so you know, although it's beyond what I'm going to do in this very brief session, you can do something called ingesting the media. And what that will do, if it's not located in the same place as the project, is it will bring it in to the project. It will make copies of the media from the various different places you bring it in from and keep them all with the project, which is super, super handy. You can also further down the line do something called a proxy workflow. If you've got really heavy high def footage, then you might want to use lower resolution copies to work with and then replace those. But that's for another time. Once you've got all of your media in, and you'll notice that as I hover and scrub over these, I actually get to see some of the playback there. Okay, so it makes it nice and easy to quickly see what you're going to use. When you switch into the editing workspace, this is the kind of thing you'll see in most video editors. Okay, you'll have a source panel over on the left hand side here, usually on the left. and then you'll have a program monitor. Okay, so this is the output for everything. These are just the various different sources you will use. And then you'll see all of your clips here. Now, if you want to preview a clip more comfortably, you can actually drag those into the source panel. And if I do that now, if I drag this piece of footage in, for example, there's a small play button here, and then I can play that one through. Okay, and see how that looks. There we go. And I might determine which bits I could use from that and make some notes. Let's bring another clip in, and it will replace that. You can also drag the playhead, although video folks like to call these things different names. So this is called the current time indicator in the language of video people. Again, you can scrub through that, and the space bar will allow that to play as well. So you can start and stop the playback using the space bar. There we go, nice and easy. And if I tap that again, then it stops. Once you've done that and you've got things roughly in the order that you want to use them in, you can select them and create a sequence. And that's a collection of clips and other media, maybe like titles and overlays as well. So let's do that. There are a couple of ways we can do it. We can either click in Premiere, this button down here, and choose to create a new sequence. And if we do that, we've got various different settings we can use to create that. Okay, I'm just going to cancel out of that. Or if you want it to be based on the media you've got, then you can drag those in to the timeline panel. So let's have a look here. What I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to pick up this piece of road footage down here, and then I'm going to hold down the Command key, Control on Windows to select another clip here. Okay, like so. And then I'll go and pick up this camera clip here. Then let's go to a TV studio there, a control room there, and the young woman working just there. I'll then drag these in, okay, and you'll see that there are the individual clips. Okay, so they're all there expressed over time, so you can see how long each clip is. So if I just drag like so, across here we can see the truck making its way, and we can see this person here taking some footage. Then there's a bit of audio just underneath that. That's what these things are here. Although the others, which are stock library clips, actually don't have any audio. Okay, so let's bring something in that does have some audio. So we'll bring in a clip of yours truly. Okay, and here you can see that there is a waveform underneath. And in Premiere, you can change the height of these things to see them more clearly if you need to, as you can with the different video clips. And you see, once you get to a certain size, you even get those little previews in there. Okay, so if I just go to the front here and just tap the space bar. Hi, it's me, Tony Harmer, and welcome to this, a 2-minute test movie for Mac. There you go, you can see that. And now we can quite happily get rid of that by just deleting it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to unlink these two pieces of footage. This doesn't have any actual audio in it at all. So I'm just going to right click on these and unlink. That separates the audio and the video into separate files, although in a minute I'm going to show you another way to do that. So I'll just delete those, and now we've got a video only timeline. However, here I've got an audio source. If I just double click on that, we can see that in the source panel. Okay, and I can also drag that in to the sequence like so. And you can see I haven't got a great deal of room here with what I want to work with, so I might need to trim some content away here. Now, trimming a clip and reordering clips is very, very simple. There are a number of ways you can do it. But what I'm going to do first of all is go to this first clip from the truck. You know, actually, I'm going to go to a later one, I think. I think I'll go to this one just here. And just for the minute, I'm just going to hit this mute button here on the audio, like so. All right, and I'm going to trim that at about that point just there. So I've pressed the space bar. If I go to the edge of a clip, you can see I get this small marker with an arrow, and I can drag this in like so. I could then grab the other clips and bring those in like so as well and move them. And there are other ways that you can work with that. I'll show you in just a second another way. So we've got our clips here, we've got our audio. I'm just going to wind this back. And what I also am going to do here, I think, is just see how loud this is. So let's give this a go just here. I might need to change the volume in a second. Actually, that's not too bad. There we go. So we've got that nice piece of audio playing. We know how long we've got to play. You see, I can't make it any longer there. However, I can shrink it. I can also change the volume, and I can fade things in and out. So let's look at that. If I click on this particular clip just here, I have a panel called Effects Controls. Now, other pieces of software have very similar things. It's just that this is the way I work here in Premiere. So what I'm going to do is twirl that open like so. Okay, and I'm going to change the level. Now, I can either do that by entering a numeric amount here, or just by dialing that down like so. Now, at the moment, that's creating me a keyframe just here. So I'm just going to highlight that keyframe and delete it. I'll go to the beginning of the track here and then just pull that down again. So the fact that I can see keyframes here means that I can change things over time. So if I wanted it to fade out, for example, I could move to another point in its playback, okay, and then start to change that. But again, that's probably more than we need to do right now. So let's just wind this back here and play this again. You see, just a bit quieter now. Perfect. Okay, so far so good. Hopefully you're following along with that just nicely, and you've got an idea of how that's all working. Let's go ahead and do a couple of other things here. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, remove these bits of footage. Okay, I'll go to the first one here. If I double click on it, it opens in the source monitor. Now, what is really important to understand is that this isn't the actual file that I brought in. Premiere keeps that as sort of a reference clip, and everything I use here is a copy that it creates. It goes to the original footage when it needs those bits just to write that data, but otherwise these are all copies, and I can do all sorts of different things with them. So in the source monitor here, what I can do, let's just go through this clip very, very quickly. All right, let's just say I wanted to get from about this point here just to here. So between that sort of rise and that telegraph pole there, so maybe just about here actually, I can set something called an in point. Now I can tap I to do that here in Premiere, but there's also a button for it. Then I can wind forward, okay, like so, and tap O for out. That sets an in point and an out point. You can see the footage here has changed. So I'll take that back to the beginning of the timeline. The next clip I'm going to look at, okay, will be this chap with the camera just here. So I'll double click on that. And again, I'm going to look at where would be good for a shot. So let's actually do from the beginning there. So I'll tap I just there, drag this forward like so to about that point there. I think we're pretty good. So I'll tap O. Now I can bring things out of this. I could actually drag this here, and if it had audio, it would bring both. But I've got buttons here to drag in the video only or the audio only. I'll just drag in the video only, just there like so. Okay, so now I've got two clips moving together like that. There we go. We're into that. Don't worry about the jerkiness of the playback. That's just the machine that's running here. Okay, so now I've got those two things. Where do they go next from there? I think what they go to next is maybe the TV studio. So let's have a look at that. And I think there's some interesting footage. Round about there's quite a lot of action. So let's use from there. I'll tap I, just here, wind forward a little bit. Okay, and tap O, just there. Then drag that video in, like so. Okay, and now let's go ahead to the teleprompter just here. So we'll bring the teleprompter into the source panel. Double click on that. I was going to drag it into the sequence just then. Okay, and we'll just have just a small section of that. So from about there to around about this point here, drag the video in like that. We can also zoom here if we want to see this more clearly, like so. Okay, and then I think we've got the studio person here. Let's go ahead with that. Let's double click on that to go in here. Okay, and we'll just make it look as if she's giving some sort of direction there. So we'll just go ahead with that. Let's play that forward. Great stuff. And we'll just tap O there. Bring that in. Nice. Then we've got another camera just here. So we'll use that. Let's have a look at where that gets interesting. Here, so like so. Well, that's quite nice where that comes in. Like that. So we'll start just there. And I'm actually dragging the out point here. So I added both. That's pretty good. About there. Let's bring that in. So nice. That's looking pretty good there. And then we've got some people who will be our presenters for the day. So we'll just double click there. And let's see what we've got there. Let's go from about that point. I think that's pretty good. In fact, what I'm going to do is go with the majority of that to about there. Let's bring that in. Not bad. Spill over just a little bit on the end there, so we can trim that back. So now we've got a sequence. We can play that through. Let's go for that. I'll just mute the audio so we can just watch it play out without the distraction of the sound. There you are. Moving from one through to the other. Perfect. And we see our little control bit there. And the great thing is, even if we've decided that, oh, that was not quite in the right place, or we want to change something around, we can do that at any point with the clip on the timeline. So this piece of footage here, for example, we double click that. Maybe that's not in exactly the right place, so we could change things about that if we wanted to. Okay, so we could change that around. We can also drag the clips to move them. So let's bring this out here. And all of the footage is there. It's just hidden. So let's have a look at that. There we go. Okay, now the only thing that's really deeply unsettling there about that is this is a wildly different color scheme. So we can change that here. So what I'm going to do is target the clip. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the window menu here. And in Premiere, there's a panel called Lumetri Color. Now, if you are from the sort of Photoshop / Lightroom world and you're used to using Adobe Camera Raw, then this is going to become immediately familiar. Okay, so if I go to this basic correction, you can see here that I've got some lookup tables for color. I've also got my temperature and tint sliders here, so I can go ahead. Let's warm this up a bit like so, or cool it down. And let's change a bit of the tint in there. We need to watch those skin tones. We can change the exposure. Okay, and the contrast, make it more contrasty. Okay, like so, if I can just grab hold of that. Actually, let's lighten that just a bit. There we go. And we can dampen the highlights. Okay, and all of those other good things. We've got some creative options here that we can use. So a sort of faded film preset, we can change the intensity of that preset and many more. There are lots just up here. So we can go for all of these different color looks, for example, like so. There we go. And use that and change how much that is applied and so on. Got curves. So again, they're very familiar to Photoshop people, of course, and Lightroom people and more, I dare say. Okay, and HSL curves here, and a color wheel, and basically HSL secondary and vignetting. Okay, so we can turn that on. Let's have a bit of negative vignette there to bring that in. And there you go. That clip is now adjusted. If we go back a bit and play that forward. There we go. Not too bad. However, I do think that I want to swap these clips around here just a little bit. I think I want to take her down to where the TV studio is. So I'm going to hold down Command, that would be Control on Windows, and drag that into, whoops-a-daisy, and drag that into place. I can also lock the audio as well if I want to, so I don't accidentally affect that. Let's bring that in to about there, and you can see it swaps out like so. And then I'm going to swap the teleprompter over there as well. So again, hold that. See where the line is for how it brings it in. Now we've got it so it goes from there into that, across and down, and like so. And I can unlock the audio now. See, that's something else you can do as you would lock a layer in Photoshop, for example, to protect that. This is still muted, by the way, so it's all good there. Right, something else we can do that's very similar to the world of Photoshop is we can add adjustment layers. So if I click here for a new item, add an adjustment layer. Now I get to determine how big this is and also its frame rate. Okay, like so. I'll bring that in and drop the adjustment layer over the top, and I'll stretch that out across the whole bunch of clips there because I can change them all at once. I'll go to this effects workspace just here. Okay, and I can search. I'm going to search for curves like so, and it gives me RGB curves. I can drag that on to the adjustment layer, and then if I go to another panel here, effect controls, okay, I can go in. I've got the clip targeted, there you are, and use my curves. So if I wanted to go sort of S-curvy on it, then I could do that, and you'll see that all of the clips are then affected by that adjustment layer. If I turn it off like so and on again, you can see it. One of the final two things I want to do here is add some transitions. Okay, so I can search for different transitions. I'll go back to my assembly, my editing workspace just here, and there's an effects panel. And I'm just going to search for cross dissolve. So I'll type cross just there, and there's cross dissolve. I'll drag that on to these clips here, and you'll now see that between the two, they're now dissolving. There you go. Really, really easy to do. And you can change that by clicking on it. Okay, whoops-a-daisy. And if you're looking at that in the effect controls panel, you can see where it starts and so on. The last thing you'll do in this whirlwind tour is to export this media. If I turn the sound back on here, so we've got it all the way through. And by the way, locking it doesn't affect it being output. So if I go to the file menu now and go to export and media, what I can then do is determine how I'm going to export this. So I'm going to go for H.264, just there like so. Okay, media source here. I'll choose medium bitrate, just there. That's just how much data is wrapped and unwrapped, or how quickly. I'll go ahead and give this a name. So demo intro, like so. save that, and then I can either send that to another application, Adobe Media Encoder, by clicking Q, or here clicking Export, and it will start the export process, and momentarily we will have a new movie. You can see this is working quite quickly. It's not a very complex arrangement. Well, hopefully you've got a good idea of how that all works, or how relatively easy it is to get to grips with. If I just go ahead now and go to the panel just here, and let's just see if I did save that into this. It looks like I did not. Let's find out where I did actually send that. The quickest way for me to do that is actually go to that again and just have a quick look at where it went, or where it's likely to have gone. Oh, interesting. These things do happen, by the way. I'm sorry about my throat today. I've got a terrible sore throat, but there you are. I'm fine. I just talk a lot. Let's just have a quick look at where this is. Intro to video editing on the desktop should be there. Let me just cancel that and go back. And it's probably here, but I probably can't see it. Let's just switch this, and no. So let's go to that and have another look. Amazing. There's the folder for Premiere Save. It's because I gave it cleverly the same name as one of these. There you go, demo intro. There it is. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. And don't forget, you can catch up with me on LinkedIn Learning and also at youtube.com/TheDesignNinja. See you later. Bye.